Hello, students. Now we're going to talk about DCF, discounted cash flow model, DCF. So we're going to start from simple to more complicated. And the ultimate goal is to price OpenAI or what you know about their product, ChatGPT. So we're going to price OpenAI. It's a near IPO company, not near IPO, OpenAI. So how we going to price it, value the company? We can use DCF. But let's just start explain what that DCF and make it more complicated. There is a static model for DCF, which is free cash flow, variable 1 plus R to the power T. R is a discount factor, T is time. So you use the sum, and then at the terminal, suppose the cash flow is 50, then you said from n unto the infinity would be 50, then 50 divided 1 plus discount factor to the power n, and the sum will be firm value of the firm. That will call discount static DCF, which is what's the cash flow for the company. If you know the current cash flow, if you know the discount factor, and if you know when the terminal of the company is like this, at some point it's going to be a flat terminal, like after n years, if you know the number n, then you plug in the number and you're done. But if you have a growth, what is that growth? Like the free cash flow growing fast, like 20%, 30%, negative 6, negative 10. So the free cash flow is revenue minus operation cost minus taxes, depreciation, CapEx, workout capital. So what if this is growing 10%, 20% every year, 5%? Well, the present value at the terminal value, you'll see FC free cash flow at n plus 1, which is the WACC. WACC is the discount factor. Minus G is the growth of the cash flow multiplied by that. So then the free cash flow model will show that this is the same component like static, but this terminal value will be with the growth. Like the company growing at 10%, their cash flow growing 10%. So that's a formula. Suppose it was 50 growing at 10%, 1 plus 1.1 divided by the WACC. WACC is cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital, which is a discount factor here, the R1. Here, the R. It's a WACC basically. And this is the formula. What if it's complicated like ChatGPT or OpenAI? OpenAI growing like 40%, 50, 60, maybe they're gonna peak at 70, and then we expect them to go down because every company eventually is gonna have a steady state. Every company growing fast, peak, growing also fast, but conversion to the steady state, from the steady state and on, a flat growth, 5%, 6%. Flat growth, that means here, like this. So in this case, it's a little bit more complicated. So you have a growth now, you have a growth from now on, and then decline on this. So you have a 3 period here. Period of growing, declining, steady state. So how are you going to do that? This is the formula. In the first stage, the cash flow at plus 1G, which is you have to calculate the growth here, the growth here, the growth here, the growth here. It's integral, basically. You have to calculate the growth every period. You have to add. So we need to calculate here the area. It's integral area of all of this. And then from here and there, the rectangle is easy to calculate. So basically, you have 3 terms: the high growth, declining, and the terminal. OpenAI. OpenAI, so the base year, which is we have it here in 2025, the revenue for OpenAI is 5, the cost is 10. OpenAI, as of today, burning $5 billion a year. So their cost revenue is 5 billion, their cost is 10 billion, they're losing 5 billion. By the way, most of the AI companies are losing. We talk AI, but all these companies are losing and they're gonna bankrupt eventually. And a few of them will survive. It's like what happened in the dot-com bubble back, basically. But here is difficult. Unlike this model, DCF growth, here is a problem we have, which is the problem is here. Here is a problem. revenue and operating costs. The revenue growing in fast, operating costs growing but less. So you have a growth of revenue growing high. This is less. So FCFE, the free cash flow, we didn't know how the free cash flow growing when the revenue growing something, operation cost something else. So an OpenAI is a different case. You need to have the cost growth, revenue growth. So I did that. I collect data about the cost growth 10%. I read a lot about OpenAI. The revenue growth 0.4, they expect to go 0.5, 0.6, and then decline in 0.5, 0.35, and then converge at 14. The cost growth will be 0.6 in the terminal. So you have a high growth. I'm going to put that dark green. Declining growth is growing, but not in a very high. And then terminal value is growing, but not very. So you have a three type of growth, and that's exactly what this figure is showing. OpenAI is going to grow a lot, declining, and then flat. The WACC, how we calculate the WACC? Here is a function how to calculate the WACC. E divided by V dot RE. E is market value of the equity. We didn't know market value for the equity. Market value of the debt. This is we know. The value E plus D, that's the total firm value. RE, cost of equity, which is using cost of equity, use a cap-in model, which is RF. RF is the Federal Reserve interest rate plus beta, company beta. OpenAI doesn't have a beta. Multiply by beta, but RM minus RF. RM market return, 10%. RF is this. We use Apple a beta because OpenAI doesn't have a beta. So that's a discount factor. That's equity, cost of equity. For OpenAI, we use Apple things. But you can calculate what is the WACC for OpenAI. You can ask ChatGPT what would be the WACC equivalent company, and they give you that. I looked at that and I find that their WACC is 0.16. Now, in the previous lectures, I said the more the company nearing the IPO, the more the company raising Series A, Series B, the more they're in the market, their WACC decreasing, the discount factor or the uncertainty declining, which is good. The value increase. So 0.16, we're going to start 0.14. In the second stage of growth, and 0.12 is the terminal. The growth of the cost, 0.1, we're going to go 2% down to 0.8, and then another 2.6. Revenue growth, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.5, and this. So all of this, you have to assume them. And this one, you have to also to assume. This is the fact. So I'm going to make that to be in yellow. So we know that real fact. They have a cash flow for 5 billion, but they're losing the cost in 10. So as of now, ChatGPT losing or OpenAI losing 5 billion. The discount factor formula is here. 1 divided 1 plus WACC to the power T. So the WACC is this. So it's equal to the power T. And then here it is the year. Now we're 2025. 0, the baseline year. So this is the base year. So the discount factor is 1. So basically, as of now, their revenue is 5, their cost is 10. So the present value of their FCF free cash flow is -5. Now, if you say cash flow growing like 60%, then then if you didn't break down the cost of growth and revenue growth, then and you say free cash flow growing up, then it's going to be -7, -8, -10. But because the growth of revenue higher than the growth of cost, so the cash we expect ChatGPT to have a decline. They're burning cash now, -5. Next year they're going to burn 3.4, -1, and then they're going to start have positive cash. All right. So you have to assume those. You have to see a company with the WACC. We know it. ChatGPT doesn't have, it's not traded in the market, so we didn't know the cost of equity. So we have to assume what WACC company is similar to ChatGPT, OpenAI. So I used 16. I asked ChatGPT, hey, what's the WACC OpenAI based on similar companies traded in Wall Street in the stock market. And then they give me some ideas, and I found 16 is the one most relevant to them. So they said from 12 to 18, I use 16. But from there, I'm going to go down because the more you from stage one, stage two, more clarity. So the uncertainty decline, this is decline. So I got those. And then based on that, the price of ChatGPT, everything in billion here. So this is projected in billion, projected cost in billion. Therefore, the present value of the firm value, is also in billion. All right, so cool. So that's what I have for ChatGPT as of today. If I want to buy a company like ChatGPT, I will evaluate the company like this. Now, there is some studies showing that actually their growth will go to 65, 45, and then 55, and then 65, and then decline to like this. So in this case, the price of the value of the company, 122 billion, 17. So that will be the ChatGPT based on the very optimistic uh, revenue growth. And some people think the terminal would be 16. So that would be 16. That would be 16. That would be 16. Then the company would be 125 billion point three. Again, here I plot the cost growth and revenue growth. You can see that they're different. If you do here a little bit, make it like a secondary here, you can see the revenue growing differently than the cost. Therefore, you have to break them down, break them between revenue and employee, and to calculate each growth separately, and that impact uh, the projected revenue, projected cost, and then the value of the company. Now, some people think it's going to go to 75. So we're going to go to 50 here, 55. Some people think 70, and maybe 75, 80, and then they're going to decline to 60. And eventually the company is going to have a steady state. In this case, ChatGPT will be worth $189 billion or $190 billion. Your homework. Your homework is you can have this Excel, and your homework is you go through all of the tabs here, explain what I did, and then make assumptions and measure the value of OpenAI based on your assumption, what you think the real value, and make the video and show us what you think in your value. I hope you learn a lot from this video, how to price OpenAI. Thank you so much, and let me know if you have a question.